Hello, welcome to Sree's Sunday New York Times Read Along. It's episode 385, February 1st. Kind of hard to believe. My name is Neil Parekh. I'm the executive producer of Sree's Sunday New York Times Read Along. We are live on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and our Digimentors website. Please like, comment, share, retweet, do all the things you do to make sure people are able to find the show. For everyone watching on repeat, thank you for joining us at a time that was more convenient for you. And also for folks who might be watching or listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, thank you for joining us. This is something that we added in November when we restarted the show recently. So you can catch the show on Apple or Spotify. And it's just a great way to reach out to our audience. We have a lot to cover today. We'll be focusing, of course, on ICE's continued presence in Minnesota. It's also the Grammys this evening. So we'll talk about that. The New York Times Magazine has a special cover story on the FBI and Kash Patel. And we do have breaking news from the Australian Open that I know that Sree will be very excited to talk about. I know he's a big fan. For folks who haven't watched yet, or if you maybe DVR'd it and wanted to watch it later, we'll do our best to give you a spoiler alert when we get there. Let's say hi to some of the folks watching. We have John Borstein watching from the East Village. Don't ignore what you see on the screen. It's not Jonathan. It's John. I have on very good authority. We have Ellen watching from the Upper East Side. Thank you, Ellen. Doug Levy watching from just outside San Francisco at 5:30 a.m. Pacific time. Always like pointing that out. And Doug, we appreciate you starting your day with us. Ken Fisher, good morning. 40 minutes from the Field of Dreams. Ken, you're talking my language now. That is definitely on my bucket list to get out to the Field of Dreams in Iowa. It's a baseball reference. There was a movie, must have been 20 years ago, I'm guessing. Ken, maybe you can let me know. Even longer, maybe. But it's a great story. And now the major leagues do an annual game there at the Field of Dreams. My mom is watching from Tampa, Florida. A good morning. Cold here in Tampa and up in New York. Thank you, Mom, for watching. Always appreciate it. Deborah Kerr is watching. It's a chilly 32 degrees in South Florida. Coldest since 2015. No snow yet. And I think that's what my mom was trying to say. There's only 1 degree of difference between New York and Tampa at the moment. Mary Curtis is watching from Charlotte, North Carolina. Anyone care to help dig us out of a foot? You got a foot of snow, Mary. Wow. That's one of the reasons I couldn't join you last week. We were getting hit on Sunday morning and had to deal with that. We have a number of other people watching, but before we say hi to them, let's bring on our host, Sree Srinivasan. Sree, great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm so happy to be with you, Neil. I missed you last week because it's not the same without you. I knew you were digging through snow. I think I made a reference to it. We have our own adventure here in New York City. Right now, it's 9 degrees Fahrenheit. That's minus 13 Celsius, but the wind chill is minus 8 or so Fahrenheit, which is minus 20, minus 30 Celsius. So it's super cold in New York City, even though it's beautiful. Let me just quickly show you the East River, as well as Long Island City, Roosevelt Island. And right in front of you is the UN headquarters, that thin gray slice of that building that you see right there. So it looks beautiful, but it is a little too cold. Thank you, everybody, for being with us. We do the show Sundays from 8:30 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. And we talk about the news, we fight misinformation, disinformation, and we want you to support your local newspaper. We read the New York Times because that's the one we subscribe to. But we love for you to support any paper you can online or in print. And we do this because we love this community that's grown. You can see people from around the world watching every Sunday. It means so much to us. And we also want to tell you that the show is brought to you by two sponsors. We want to thank our friends at Muck for being sponsors of this show. They do such a great job. Anytime anyone who's in comms needs to connect with journalists, that's where they go. And journalists can get free verified accounts on Muck, so they should sign up there. And the Graphic History Company, our friends Tim Fielder and Walter Greason are doing such great work to help explain history through graphic novels. And you will remember the interviews we did with them with the graphic history of hip hop, but they're doing so much more. If you'd like to be a sponsor, please email us. There it is, the graphichistorycompany.com. Sign up for updates. They do such a great job. You will love being on their mailing list and hearing about all their adventures. And if you would like to be a sponsor, please email us, neil@digimentors.group and Sree@digimentors.group.
I was just going to add, Sree, when we talk about the Graphic History Company, first of all, that was volume 2 of their Graphic History of Hip Hop, which will be coming out later this year. And when we talk about ICE and their continued presence in Minnesota, we have a special feature we can share this week. Tim Fielder and Walter Grayson have put out these, in addition to the graphic novel, they do graphic stories that they share from time to time. And we have a special feature, a video feature that shows how Tim Fielder put together their latest graphic story. So when we get to Minnesota in the news, we'll pull that up and share that with our audience. We also want to mention that we are in partnership with Scroll and Scroll Global, one of India's leading independent websites. We're so proud to be sharing this show on their YouTube channel as well. So thank you to Scroll for that partnership.
Thank you, folks there, including Samir Patil, Naresh Fernandez, and the entire team there. We talk about independent media and the value of it, especially in countries like India, but all over the world. Support journalism, support the media as much as you can. Let's take a quick look, Neil, at what's happening in the front pages of the paper, and then we'll dive into some of the stories. But I'm actually going to start with yesterday's paper so that people can see the evolution of the last 2 days of news. So here it is. This is about eyeing the rate cut. Trump lines up a new Fed chair. And this is somebody he had appointed. Jerome Powell was his handpicked person the first term. Now he hates him and he wants somebody new. And then the Justice Department is investigating the death of Alex Pretti, who was the nurse who was killed. You saw shot in cold blood. A civil rights inquiry signals a major shift, but it's still the DOJ under the Trump administration. So you cannot trust them. There was a time when the government, Republican or Democratic Party president, came in with the DOJ, it meant something, taking things out of the political sphere and making it more independent. That is not the case anymore. And let's see, what is this photograph? I presume it's from Minneapolis. Neither the Justice Department nor the FBI would say what prompted the search of the Fulton County Elections Office near Atlanta. Neil, you saw the story. Completely crazy that was happening, and then Tulsi Gabbard was there. The director of national intelligence, who should be worried about Putin and everything going on overseas, is going to a local election office to try and overturn the 2020 election. And we know she already has a direct line to Putin, so maybe she doesn't need to worry about him directly.
Does that mean, Sree, if let's explore this for just a moment. If they find evidence of some kind of election shenanigans and Trump actually won in 2020, does that mean that we can kick him out of office now for violating the rule about 3 terms?
Yeah.
I'm just trying to game this out a little bit.
Yeah, we need all the theories we can get, all the legal theory we can get. So here is the front page of today's newspaper, and we'll show you what you're looking out there is what the East River looked like yesterday. So this is the East River. Slightly further down, you can see the successor to the World Trade Center right there, that tall building there. And let's see what the headlines are from today. A tech arsenal is assisting ICE in Minneapolis. Concerns over reach. Facial recognition tools track protesters and find immigrants. Just remember, this is all about going after the worst of the worst, the murderers, the rapists. And I think we were all on board with that back in November 2024, saying that's a good idea. Let's go out and have due process, find the worst of the worst, leave everyone else alone. But that's not what they're doing. They're going after grandmas, they're going to daycare centers. 5-year-olds are being arrested. And there is so much to be upset about, Neil.
Absolutely. On the display picture, Sree, which I'll put back on the screen, that's the East River, you said. I can
Yes.
attest that the Hudson River looked exactly like that over the last 2 days. I was actually in New York, in Fort Lee at my sister's place. As you may know, our family went up to New York to see Hamilton on Thursday night, Christmas gift for our daughter. Pam and I have already seen it, but I looked out over the Hudson River and I couldn't believe that it was mostly frozen over. You could see the ice flows going down the river. And the next day I saw some icebreakers going, trying to clear it up. So it really is something. But there's a whole article about whether or not the river could actually freeze over.
Freeze or not. Yeah.
Yeah.
Conservatives are cutting DEI in a flood of lawsuits, seeking to cement the end of affirmative action. We saw that, one of the things that I've noticed, Neil, is that conservatives hate government interference unless it's government interference on the behalf of their morals, their interests, their ideas. And so then they want the government fully in there and changing everything. Even private companies are not safe. Trump's push will test spine of Fed choice, and the Fed choice is Kevin M. Warsh. Do we have any faith in his spine? My guess is zero. And guilty pleasure or necessity, delivery apps reset and reshape dining. Let me ask you, what is your relationship with food apps nowadays?
Well, I will tell you that over the last several months, in the middle of a kitchen renovation, we have taken better advantage of delivery apps than we usually do. And I'd say that's actually that and the pickup at Target and occasionally at Giant in terms of groceries. Some of my I think the best outcomes of the COVID pandemic, the whole rise in dropping food by your door, really came from those times. And going down to Target and just and a lot of other stores as well, being able to pull into a parking spot and have them put it in your trunk, it really does change the whole dynamic. But we don't eat out so often, Sree, that if you saw it on Saturday Night Live several weeks ago, as a play on the Spotify Wrapped theme, they had Uber Eats Wrapped, and showing how many times you had burritos in the last year, or how many times you went to how much money you spent on delivery.
Don't
We
want to
definitely
know.
don't. We're
Yeah.
not there, luckily.
Well, I wish you the best with the wrapping up of the renovation, because that is not easy when you're continuing to live in the same spot.
Yeah.
Let's see here, Jonathan, who's now John. We had lunch, so this is what we worked out a couple of things. So he prefers John, but his legal name is Jonathan, and it's Borstein, not Borstein, because he says if it's Harvey Weinstein, then you've got to be consistent. EIN. So it should be Borstein. And so it's John Borstein. And we've been saying his name wrong during the pandemic for a long time, but he's a great viewer and great friend and a great solo diner. He travels the world kind of eating by himself, traveling by himself, sharing that. He's not always by himself, but sharing his view of the world that way. My friends call me John. Jonathan's my legal name, so nothing wrong, but mispronouncing his name, however, he says. Patricia says, we love you back. Thank you so much. And Naomi says, Rhode Island in the house. Happy to see you guys. Pink is the new black. Thank you very much. And Jay is watching from Maryland. Thank you, Jay. We love hearing from people. Tell us how your Sunday is going. Tell us what you're up to. The Grammys are tonight. I know some of you will be watching. And Deborah says the front page headline in today's Sun Sentinel: frozen iguanas in your yard during cold snap. The I guess this
Fish
is
and
the
Wildlife.
Fish
Nice
and
guy.
Wildlife will take them from 5 drop-off sites. And Dr. Tachi is watching from Fort Lauderdale, another former guest on this show. She's terrific. I hope she's warm. And Deborah says the commission is allowing for removal and transport of cold, stunned iguanas without a permit. Support independent media. Thank you. Um, we're not showing the comments coming in from Trump supporters and MAGA people who are saying the media is never independent, things like that. And Jay says that was definitely a good question, Neil.
That
And
was about the Trump
yes,
third term, right?
exactly.
If
We
that's
should
what's
look
going
into
on.
overturning the 2024 election. And Ellen saying I was going to as that third term. Imagine. And
Yeah,
I want to say to Ellen, by the way, a big thank you. She is a great supporter, not just of this show, but also of our newsletter. And I want to remind everyone about the newsletter, sreenet.substack.com. Sreenet.substack.com. Today, I've already published in advance of this show. It's about Minneapolis, and it's about the boss going to Minneapolis. Yes, Bruce Springsteen not only wrote that amazing song, The Streets of Minneapolis, he's actually there, or he was there, and I write about that and what it means for the world and for America to see someone like that right there, conscience of American music, and so much more. And let's see.
absolutely.
Yeah, Jay says nothing in what they're doing says they're only going after criminals. 100%. Icy and cold. Debbie Burnick. Debbie, long time. Great to see you. And no school for grandkids in DC area for 5 days, but beautiful. And Sudha says now Trump is going back to the 2020 election. He's just looking for 11,000 votes. Come on. And Neil looked more like the Hudson than we experienced in Antarctica last January. That is
I will say,
amazing.
Deborah, I saw a headline, not in the Times, I think, but there was a luxury ship that had to be rescued from Antarctica. They got caught in the ice. So I know that we did a great show with Deborah last year about this time, or maybe a little later in February, about her trip to Antarctica. I'm glad that she didn't run into those kind of difficulties when she was there. I want to make sure, Sree, we catch up with a few hellos. You have Kaveri Madhavan on the screen saying hello, but we also have Diane Stefani saying hi from a frigid Margate, New Jersey. Our friend Sujana Chandrasekhar watching on YouTube. The wind chill is -8. John Lee is watching from the Upper West Side. So thank you, John. And we do have a couple of people watching on YouTube Shorts. Again, just so folks know, in addition to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, our website, and YouTube, kind of the standard YouTube, the horizontal video, we're also on YouTube Shorts on a vertical format. And that gives us exposure to a whole different audience. And I think that's what Sree was referring to earlier. A lot of the comments from MAGA supporters come from there. But sometimes we get good comments from YouTube Shorts as well. So we don't want to throw out all of those comments.
One thing we'll do is maybe the next episode we can take a screenshot and show them the difference, what the screen looks like, and how we have a kind of vertical video now as well as the horizontal,
Yeah.
and it's kind of interesting. We're seeing, by the way, you can have crazy comments coming in from anywhere else, including Facebook. I see something that I wouldn't want to share, but here's a fun one: Ice Baby, which is what is happening now. Muckraking independent investigative post.com still fighting the good fight from Buffalo. Thank you.
I was going to say, Sree, we also do have to be careful, though. We don't know. Ice Baby could also be about ice.
Oh,
not
you're right.
ice.
Oh my God. Oh my God.
Yes. So just to be
yes, it's like drill, baby, drill. Ice. In fact, I'm now sure you are right. It's not a laughing matter, but it's just so easy to just, I thought he was talking about the cold. But it's
Paula
not.
Kiger. Sorry, I was going to say Paula Kiger is watching from Tallahassee, Florida. Longtime producer of the show. Thank you, Paula. And then you were going to say hi to Stefan Kaplan as well.
Yes. Hi, Stefan. Great to have you here. Everyone from a very cold northern New Jersey, stay warm and safe all. Any Bruce Springsteen fans here? Tell us about your thoughts on Bruce and what he's been doing and that beautiful song he released and what he means. I'd love to hear from you, especially so many New Jerseyans here. Patricia says, just got frostbite from grabbing my New York Times paper. It's 9 degrees here in New York City. Real feel is Antarctica, and that's in Fahrenheit, of course. And
Yes.
good morning from Chattanooga, Tennessee. Great to have you here. If you're new, welcome. We do this Sundays, 8:30 to 9:30 a.m. We're on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, as well as digimentors.group, where you can find our entire archive and lots of specials, including print editions, PDF editions of things like the 52 Places to Go. Go 2 weeks ago and you can grab it and download it for yourself. We also are live on, not live, we're on the podcast version is available on Spotify as well as Apple Podcasts. So many of you have been asking for it. It's been 10 years and we've been finally able to deliver, Neil. And here's Zeddy. Thank you, Zeddy. Welcome. And Bruce is the Woody Guthrie of our time. So beautifully put. I said to someone, if Bob Dylan, who I love, can get the Nobel Prize for his writing, then certainly Bruce should get at least a Pulitzer, if not the Nobel. But somebody said if Trump can get a Nobel Prize, then Bruce deserves sainthood. So it's who, how do you keep track of who should be getting what? But certainly Bruce has stepped up as he had so many times. And Neil, I don't know if you've ever encountered this, but once in a while you meet somebody who is so smart, so such a great person who loves Bruce Springsteen and doesn't know, because of their age and because of where they were in their lives when they discovered that Born in the USA is not a happy song. It
Yeah.
is an anthem that talks about pain and the way we have let down so many Americans, including our veterans. But it sounds like a great upbeat. The music is so powerful that if you don't listen carefully, and so I've encountered that over the years, and you may have as well.
In fact, my recollection, it's either Born in the USA or Born to Run. Legislators in New Jersey didn't listen too closely to the lyrics. There was a story I saw that several years ago they wanted to make it the state song, and then someone pointed out that you might not want to do that because of what it's actually saying, and they had to backtrack on that.
Well, we have the world's biggest Bruce Springsteen fan watching right now, our friend and colleague Dan Foreman, who has been to, he'll correct us, 300 plus concerts, and he'll remember that story about the New Jersey the New Jersey state song business for sure. So welcome, Dan. And Mary says, remember Bruce wrote American Skin, 41 shots about the killing of
Yeah.
Amadou Diallo. Saw him on Broadway and several other times. He was very honest.
He also wrote the song about 9/11, about the firefighters going up into the building. I mean, I think that you could actually put together a playlist of Bruce Springsteen's songs that are political commentary, social justice. That would be an interesting list to put together. Dan, get on that.
He probably exists already. And Ellen says Trump will not be getting any Nobel Prize. And Diane says Amanda Gorman's poem about Alex Pretti and Renee Good was read at the Public Theater yesterday during filibuster against ICE is worth checking out. That's great. Good to know. Pradnya is watching from the DMV area. And John says, I think I first heard Springsteen and of Springsteen in the 70s. It was a line in, I believe there was a line in Rolling Stone where somebody says, I've seen the future of music or future of rock and roll, and it's Bruce Springsteen. Debbie says, hi from a cold and icy DC area. So that's amazing that how cold it is out there. Let's get to the paper, folks. I know there's so much to talk about. We didn't even get past the front page. We'll show you Olympian lost his parents in a car crash, but found them again at the rink. Oh, wow. What a story. Juliet McCore, my former student, who's a wonderful writer at the Times. As we
That's
know, that the sports desk was closed, but they get to write for other things. And then, of course, it's in the Athletic. We did an amazing 1 hour, 1.5 hour, almost 2 hour show with some of the most famous people in New York Times sports history who were able to join us when they closed the New York Times sports desk. And Neil, after your thought, I want to talk a little bit about the Washington Post and the trouble it's in.
absolutely. I was just going to point out that story, Sree, that you were looking at in terms of the ice the ice skater, the figure skater. That person lost their parents in the plane crash about 1 year ago between the U.S. Army helicopter and the passenger jet coming from
Oh, on that
Kansas.
plane. Oh, wow.
And so that flight were a number of people involved in the skating community, and there's actually a skating rink not far from where I live, where a number of those people train. So it was a few degrees of separation. We have close family friends who train at that rink, who knew some of the people who were there. But that's what that story is about. That person lost their parents in that crash, and now is going to be in the Olympics in Milan Cortina next week.
There's so much going on, Neil, that I forget the Olympics are coming because normally I care
Yeah,
and kind of pay attention, but I've not been able to. Dan says only 215 shows, but what's most important about him is that he makes people feel something, and that can lead to doing something. So well said, Dan. And that's about Bruce Springsteen. Kaveri is watching, and she says, I would highly recommend the movie Blinded by the Light, a British comedy drama directed by Gurinder Chadha. It follows Javed, a British Pakistani teenager in 1980s England who he finds inspiration to become a writer through the music of Bruce Springsteen. It's so good. Every lyric matters, and you're right. I loved it so much. I was on a host committee for the premiere, and Dan Foreman came with me to watch that film. And it's a true story about this young Pakistani boy, poor in poverty, growing up in poverty in England, finding kinship and inspiration through the music of Bruce Springsteen. So that's a movie that got lost between the Queen movie, the Beatles movie, the Elton John movie. But that Bruce movie is fantastic. It's all about his music. And as she says, the lyrics matter.
what about Deliver Me from Nowhere, the Jeremy Allen White movie that came out just this last year and is now streaming? Did you
Yes.
watch that?
No, I've not seen that yet. Sorry, that you're absolutely right. There's that, and there's also the Bob Dylan film, which came out starring Timothy
Timothy
Chalamet.
Chalamet.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so we might need to do a music movie marathon to catch up. Kaveri says, fantastic that you've seen it. It should be compulsory viewing. I've been saying this to people both yesterday, the Beatles film and this film, Blinded by the Light, have gotten sort of lost a little bit, but they're both beautiful stories. If you love the Beatles and you love Springsteen, or you love music and you love good movie making, you'll love them.
Which
Uh,
Beatles? Which
uh,
Beatles film are you
it's
talking about?
called Yesterday, and it's about
Ah,
it's starring a young Indian American Indian
yes,
British
I
actor
saw that.
who plays Jack. I mean, a failed musician who wakes up one morning and the entire world has forgotten the Beatles ever existed, didn't know they ever existed, and so whatever Beatles song he can remember, he passes that off as his original
Yes,
composition. It's
yes,
so well made. And you mentioned Saturday Night Live. Kate McKinnon is in it, and Ed Sheeran plays himself and does such a
yes.
great job in it. So I
I
recommend
love
that
that
film
movie.
very. It's
I
a
remember seeing it.
very family friendly movie. And John says, I wonder how Kaveri Madhavan is enjoying American winter. She is, of course, Irish,
Yes.
Indian or Indian Irish. Okay, so let's go to the rest of the paper to see the headlines. This is the New York Times Magazine, and the cover, speaking of Indian Americans, an oral history of Kash Patel's FBI by Emily Bazelon and Rachel Poser. Vendetta is the best word for what they're doing. You don't see. I don't know why the thumbs up came up. I guess it's how I'm holding the paper, Neil. But you normally don't see oral histories done 1 year into an ongoing administration. Oral histories are a unique feature of American journalism, or at least they used to be. Now maybe they're around the world, but they are a great way to understand a topic. I read great ones about things like the 9/11 attacks, and of course Watergate, but this was extremely odd to see this, but everything's been odd. And there have been stories coming out about how he cares more about what tweet he's going to send out for the day than he is worrying about the work he has to do. And you know me, Neil, I teach people how to use social media. I tell people spend 5, 10, 15 minutes on your tweet, but not if you're the FBI director. Please don't do that. We have a country to run and take care of. Here we go. Here is Sunday business. The California Post is in town, everybody. If you love the New York Post or hate the New York Post, you're going to love and hate California Post. MAGA La La Land. Rupert Murdoch sets his sights on the West. And Sundance says thanks and goodbye to its hometown. Wait, it's leaving? The festival in Park City, Utah have perhaps outgrown each other. That's a big story. I didn't realize that.
They're going to Boulder. In fact, last year they did a big decision process about where they were going to go, and in fact, Cincinnati, who our Mayor Aftab Poroval, we've done several shows with him, South Asian mayor. Cincinnati was one of the finalists to get the Sundance Film Festival, but they are in fact going to Boulder. This was the last year. The last year in Park City, Sree, and the first year without Robert Redford. So it was a pretty significant festival for them.
Sure. Sonny Jane was in the Dylan film. Sonny Jane's a great musician, was in the Dylan film. It was called An Almost Unknown. And that made it more special, says Dr. Sujata. Thank you. And Jay says, what an oral history headed by our very own Indian community members. That's right. And Pradnya says, you guys are extra perky this morning. Maybe it's because we're inside and warm, and so, or we're trying to stay warm. I don't know. And Mary says that Patel has agents on security detail for his country singer girlfriend.
Yes.
America is not safe. And we, of course, wish no harm on anyone. There should be no political violence on either side. If she really needs the security, great. But the way he's been taking private jets to see her, flying around the world, that is all not acceptable.
As far as Pradnya's comment, maybe we're a little extra perky. Pradnya, we have to go back a few weeks since Sree and I have actually been on the show together. Last week, Sree did a special Instagram live version because I was digging out of the snow that we got here in the DMV area. The week before that, I did a solo show focusing on the war on immigration and the civil rights comments that President Trump had recently. So maybe that's the secret to our partnership, Sree. A few weeks apart, and we get perky when we get on the show again.
That's hilarious. Let's also take a look. It says the Sunday Styles cover is where movie stars and moguls go to shop. So that's quite a cover, right? So this looks and on and off the runway during the couture shows in Paris. So this is where you would go if you are a mogul or a movie star. And then the story here is he's eager to elect more Democrats. Morris Katz, 26, who helped Zoran Mamdani become mayor, is just getting started. That's quite a thing, right? Just 26 and helped elect Mayor Mamdani, who is on a roll, by the way, for you folks. It's been a month, and he's already done a lot. And all of it has been fascinating. There's also been a report, Neil, about how Eric Adams went out of his way to sabotage Mamdani at every point, as much damage as he could do after the takeover. He didn't try to do a lot during the campaign, but after the takeover, after the new administration, the kinds of terrible things, it's all just coming out now. So this was a very, very small man trying to keep at bay the progress that Zoran Mamdani represents. And by the way, I've said this before, he's not going to be able to do most of what he wants to do because it's hard, but at least he's trying, and he's showing us, Neil, something very unusual, that government can be there to help people, not to take away 5-year-olds or arrest grandmothers. It can be there to help you. That is something that we haven't seen in a long time.
Absolutely. And it's interesting to think about when Mayor Adams came, when he was elected, there was a moment, I think, where he brought a different energy, a certain swagger, a certain
Right.
there was a different feeling about him being mayor, and then very quickly it backslid into allegations of corruption and the perks and the flights to Turkey and handing out cash, etc. It just became a real dumpster fire of a administration, if you will.
Yes, that's absolutely true. Time check here. We have about 25 minutes and we have a
Yeah.
lot to cover and a lot to talk about. Here is the book review. And the book review cover is, let's see here. The book review cover is Leader of the Pack, Dave Pilkey, who defied expectations to create Dogman, and other blockbuster graphic novel series, says, I'm writing for the kid I used to be. Oh, how cool is that? Dogman, you maybe, Emily knows Dogman? I don't know.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
Dave. I think he might be the same one that wrote Captain Underpants. I'm not quite
Wow,
positive,
that's
but
that's something.
it's
Yeah.
possible.
Very famous. And here on the cover is ASAP Rocky of the arts section, Arts and Leisure. ASAP Rocky, on the heels of a new album, the star reflects on growing up, settling down with Rihanna, and facing two trials and getting into acting. And you might remember he was freed, pardoned, something by Donald Trump in the first administration.
One thing I was curious about, Sree, if you put that the cover up again and show his name, uh, I'm curious about the New York Times style decision to not show the S in ASAP Rocky as a dollar sign, which is the
Hmm.
way that ASAP Rocky uh, presents his name. Whether I mean, obviously, I mean, I would say that his first name is probably not ASAP, so it is a stage name. So why not use the preferred construction of the stage name? That to
Yeah.
me, that's an interesting question.
Especially since they went in to do all this kind of fancy graphic design right here anyway. So it's not like
Yeah,
it was a straight headline, so to speak. The real estate cover is Timothy T.J. Kimball, who 87 to 2025. What is that? Worker suicide highlights a crisis in construction. Nothing loved is ever lost. Private tragedy underscores a widespread risk in a stressful industry, even as companies and unions offer suicide prevention training programs. We've all heard about the suicides and construction worker problems in places like the Middle East, where migrants die on a regular basis. But I'm actually reading in real time, and you're seeing my response to seeing that story. I wasn't aware that that was a problem in American construction and perhaps even New York construction. And we see construction cranes everywhere. So something for us to be cognizant of. And by the way, that line, which helped me get through when my mother passed, that and no one who is truly loved is ever gone, or no one who is loved is truly gone. There are versions of that here. It says nothing loved is ever lost. I think is absolutely true. And if you've had a loss in your life, as Neil has, as so many people have, I would encourage you to remember that if you keep their memory alive, if you keep loving them, they're still with us and around us and all over the place. And we are so grateful for that. Neil.
it's something that I thought about a lot toward the end of last year, Sri. We talk about my father, of course, several times on the show. He passed away 16 years ago, uh, but more recently, um, I have to say something about Steve Taylor, our longtime colleague at on the read along, and I think about other friends from high school who passed away in the last year. It is those words are comforting, and it's hard not to think about Steve when you bring that up.
Sure, and and we love Steve, who had a passion for bicycling and getting people to reduce their carbon footprint, and he loved granola bars and food. Like
Food.
it's just a great foodie, and would travel with us to so many different places to do our work. Let's see here. I want to show you that there are people who are watching who have comments that we should acknowledge. Says First Nation Native Americans support ICE, says Jason. Now we don't know if he's First Nations himself, and there may be some. There are. Remember, this president has 36 to 37% Americans who will believe and do anything he says. But we are seeing that some of that's coming back. Speaking of Indian Americans, Neil, you know that about for decades it was 90% voting Democratic, and then this past election, 37% voted for Donald Trump, even though there was an Indian American on the ballot. But I'm hearing a lot from uncles and aunties who voted that way, who are now regretting their votes. And we could have just said, "We told you so. We told you so." But let's come together and let's move forward to fight what is a big fight ahead of us.
I will say that, Sree, the New York Times had an article recently, just to speak to what your that comment you shared about Native Americans. Their headline was that for Native Americans, for Minneapolis's Native Americans rather, a new fight echoes a bitter history. The crackdown on unauthorized immigrants is resonating deeply among the Dakota and other tribes as residents confront what they call a federal occupation of their land. So that is a different perspective on how First Nations, Indigenous peoples are viewing the Trump administration's actions in Minnesota. While we're talking about Minnesota, Sree, I thought it'd be a good time to share this special feature that our friends at the Graphic History Company shared with us. So I will bring that on the screen in just a moment. This is a graphic that Tim Fielder put together. You can see the video that he did of the drawing. This is a story, a kind of visual representation: Superman versus ICE. Remember, I'm an immigrant too. Superman being an immigrant from the country, from the planet Krypton, of course. But I think that the caption in the bottom right corner of the finished piece: "Power requires humility. The abuse of the vulnerable reveals a deep and evil cowardice." I think that was just a very powerful piece that they put together, and we were able to show the making of video for the first time. It's not been shared anywhere on social media. So thank you again to our friends at Graphic History Company, Tim Fielder and Walter Grayson, for their work. They certainly have also, earlier, Sree, they had shared this piece, Dearly Beloved, after Renee Good was killed before last week's murder of Alex Pretti. And the follow-up, looking at George Floyd, Philando Castile, and Renee Good, and all the ways that story has evolved. So just some great work coming out of the Graphic History Company. Certainly encourage you to follow their work and support them.
Thank you, Graphic History Company. They support us on this show. And if you'd like to be a sponsor, please let us know. Email neil@digimentors.group and Sree@digimentors.group. If you've just joined us, this is the Sunday New York Times Read Along. We read the New York Times. We've been doing it for 10 years on social media, and we read the paper, we talk about what's happening in the news, and we get your feedback and your comments live so that we can have this conversation back and forth. Let's see what else is happening. Sujana says, Kash Patel was so obnoxious to Representative Swalwell. I forget his name. Swalwell. He should be held in contempt of Congress. And Sudha says, Mamdani is going to get homeless people off the streets and save them from the cold and snow. And we had John earlier say that it's not just Eric Adams who is going after Mamdani. There are so many other people who are doing the same. And Ellen says, beautifully said, Sree, same with my beloved parents. Anyone truly loved is never gone, is what helped me get through, and we're still trying. And there's so much racist stuff that we're not showing you folks. That's kind of the magic of this platform, that we can censor in a good way the things that we don't want you to see on a Sunday morning. Sujana says that I would be Suj, but the healthcare cuts. She's a great ENT surgeon, so she's saying that.
And Pradnya actually was wondering whether that was a typo when we brought up the ASAP Rocky thing without the dollar sign. But in fact, I looked at the article and shared a link on Facebook and LinkedIn. It is actually not just in the headline, but also throughout the article. They spelled it with an S instead of a dollar sign.
I want to get somebody from the Times Standards Division to tell us. The old joke is that the Times would say, Meatloaf, the musician, would say something, and then Mr. Loaf in the second reference. Though I don't think they do that. But you've got to keep up, right? Like, if these are the people you're covering, pop culture, a young kid reading that story will not take it seriously if that dollar sign is not there. It's the way that the Wall Street Journal had to struggle. Yahoo was born with an exclamation mark. Do you mention Yahoo with an exclamation mark every time or not?
Go further back. Writers and lovers of literature would appreciate this. If you're referring to E.E. Cummings, do you keep it lowercase or not? I can't imagine they would have spelled the name out with all caps. That would have just been, I think that would have been absurd.
I agree, completely agree. And that would not have been acceptable to do that. And by the way, I was inspired to do, you might remember, Neil, till I moved to the Met in 2013, where it's a much more formal place, I had to write all my emails lowercase everything. In fact, my website was called The Lowercase World of Sree. I would, so if anybody got an email from me with regular caps in places and capitalization, they would know that it's a hoax email, unless it was a formal note I was writing. Ron Thomas, good morning, everyone. Greetings from Dubai. Just arrived this morning from Kuwait. Happy New Year to everyone. Follow him on LinkedIn, folks, as well as other platforms. He goes around the world helping leaders become better leaders. And Ron Thomas is your guy. He's been a guest on the show. And I think it was 6 years ago at the start of the pandemic, I believe the last show we did in person might have been with Ron sitting at my dining table. And we miss you, Ron. Thank you so much for being a supporter, a sponsor, and so much more for us.
Absolutely. Sree, I was going to say, with the rise in spam, particularly through LinkedIn, you might want to consider going back to your lowercase email ways. Yes. That way we know when we get emails from you, it's the real Sree Srinivasan, not a fake.
And you, because we work in the same company, you have been exposed to what they call the CEO phishing scam, where somebody who works at a company will get an email, what looks like from their boss, saying, hey, I need you to get me some money. There's some issue here. And we had a, very sad to say, a young intern join us who wanted to help. She got a note, she thought, from me saying, can you please go to the Apple store and get $2,000 worth of gift cards and then send them to me. Can you imagine? And this poor young woman did it because she wanted to be helpful and be there and help us. And poor woman lost $2,000. We felt so bad. We split the difference because she had to learn something from that. And so we paid $1,000. She paid $1,000. It was really sad that it's happening like this across the country. Not for $1,000, Neil. Hundreds of thousands of dollars have been scammed that way.
We can get beyond that. I mean, that's just an email and phishing, but then you get into the deep fake videos and phone calls that the scammers will make to relatives, to older relatives, purporting to be their grandchild. They're stuck in a situation, they're in a car accident, etc., and they need help. They need money wired to them right away. That is taking advantage of older folks, or even relatives and family members to a much higher degree. I mean, it's a whole new world. It's not just someone calling and saying, I'm with your relative and we need you to send money. It could be a phone call that sounds like it's from your relative, but you can spoof numbers really easily. I mean, it's
and clone the voices. That's the thing, the cloning the voice. And so I've been on TV multiple times saying, please have a family safe word, so that if your son, so to speak, calls you, you say, what's the word? And if he can't say the word, you know that's not him, even though it sounds like him. That's the thing. And then when we get into video and when you see things, like we were always told, believe your eyes. Can't believe your eyes. You can't believe your ears. And that's what the government is telling us. Don't believe your eyes in what you're seeing in the shooting of Alex Pretti and so many other things. Just what's happening is not believable. Here's something, speaking of elections, Pradnya says, good start with Taylor Mehmet winning in Texas last night. That's right. Special election was held, and the majority that the Republicans hold and Trump holds in Congress has been reduced by one. This is multiple elections in a row from last year, including the Mamdani election, that have all gone the Democrats' way. That gives me optimism for the midterm elections, but I also have great faith in the Democrats to screw things up. And so, one of the excuses Trump made on election night when he lost Virginia, your state, the governorship there, the governorship in New Jersey, well, one of the things he said was, "Oh, I was not on the ballot. Trump was not on the ballot. That's why these people lost." Well, he's not going to be on any ballot going forward. So, what is going to be the excuse this time in 2026 and then in 2028? Look, the only way he will be back is not without elections, but with total chaos and martial law. But we have to point out that some of what's happening in Minneapolis is a prelude to that, to show that the left is crazy, that these people are terrorists, domestic terrorists, so that then he can suspend the elections. That's one of the possible ways this can go. This is not a conspiracy theory. You see them talk about these things in clear, broad daylight. And that's why we have to pay attention. Be vigilant, folks. It's really important. And thank you, Pradnya, for that. And Deborah says Congress needs to get its act together and invoke one of the articles against him, but I don't know if they will. That's great visuals. And one of the things we showed,
The graphic
and
history.
the graphic history
Thing.
was so well done. Yeah.
And Deborah says not to forget that it's Girl Scout cookie time. She just bought 5 boxes from Emily. Thank you, Deborah. Appreciate that. And I went ahead and shared the link to Emily's page in Facebook if people are interested. But Pradnya's daughter,
yes,
Mirza, is
Mirza.
also a Girl Scout cookie seller. So Pradnya, please share the link to Mirza's site as well. There's more than enough to go around.
And I want to tell a very quick Girl Scout cookie story, if I can, while we make sure we're promoting the various links so that people can buy cookies, but also know what they're watching, so they don't think there's a Girl Scout promotion show. I want to tell you that I was once invited to dinner at Amy Tan's house, the author of Joy Luck Club, an incredible woman, and what do you take to Amy Tan, right? Like what for her birthday? So I took 5 boxes of Girl Scout cookies that I just bought from a colleague's daughter, and I went out into the party, and I was kind of embarrassed, but also kind of, hey, I got these cookies. So anyway, I wanted her to hide the gifts and then not know who I was. So they opened the gifts. I didn't realize this. To my horror, they were opening gifts publicly, Neil. And in that process, there was signed guitars by legendary musicians. There were so many different things that were just out of over the top gifts to Amy Tan. But she loved the Girl Scout cookies. I can't tell you. She was most excited about these Girl Scout cookies. Why? Because she used to live next to a family that sold her Girl Scout cookies all through their childhood. And she had moved and they had moved or whatever, and she had not bought Girl Scout cookies in years. And this is before the internet with everybody trying to sell you cookies online. So she was so happy. So the lesson from that is buy Girl Scout cookies, give them as gifts, but also the humility that she displayed and the sheer joy that she had in getting these cookies was also memorable to me and very, very special. So I will never forget Amy Tan anyway, but now I have another reason not to forget her. Let's see.
That's what our experience has been in sharing the link with people that we wouldn't necessarily think of, reaching out to. And more than one person has said, "Oh, thank you so much." It's not that we're pushing it, and on Pradnya's behalf as well. It's not that we're necessarily pushing it out to folks. I think that you really can think of it as a service that we're providing, because there are some people who did buy cookies for years from neighbors and young children in their lives. and now don't have a source and they don't know where to find them. So sometimes we've actually shared a link with a colleague, or Pam shared links with like people that she knows, and they've said thank you. Now I know where to get cookies from again. We appreciate it. So
Yeah,
please take a moment if you're interested. Buy cookies from my daughter, from Pradnya's daughter, or someone in your own neighborhood, in your own circle of friends. It doesn't matter in that sense. You want to get the cookies because they're good. That's the
yes.
bottom line.
But I have to tell you, Neil, that because I'm worried about how I eat, that I have
Yes,
switched to doing the donation of the boxes. That you buy the boxes essentially, and you're donating it, or you're buying the money. You're spending the money that then can go to other people getting the cookies. So I'm saying,
yes,
do not deliver them to me, please. But if you have them, some of them, I don't know, believe all, but the Thin Mints freeze
they
beautifully. So
freeze.
that's something. And Digimentors, by the way, got to do a project at the Girl Scouts headquarters about 10 years ago. We went down there and we had so much fun. It was the first time I'd been in Savannah. And to be right there was very exciting. Let's get through some of the comments and we have to wrap up. Sujana
Yeah.
says, Sree Cummings is of EE Cummings because of my love of lowercase. Pradnya says, I don't worry as long as Durga is on the case, Sree, and other young people like her. That's right. Our daughter, Durga Srinivasan, was a top 10 campaigner for Zoran Mamdani and is now campaigning for Raj Goyal, Goyle, running for state comptroller of New York City, a guest on the show who brought in the cell phone ban. So we're very grateful to him for doing that. And if you want to be on our mailing list, please email Neil and he'll give you a preview when we're live, if we have any specials and things you would want to know. I have a feeling, Sudha says, hi, Auntie. I have a feeling that Trump will manage to postpone the upcoming election. This is what a lot of people are saying. Mary says, need to pay more attention to voting rights. What happened with Georgia ballots? I, the lawyer from Elias Group, handling these cases on my Equal Time podcast. That's a fabulous podcast. Please look for it. Mary C. Curtis is a longtime collaborator, friend, and partner in the crimes we do. And yep, suspending the elections, that's a threat. And boy, these people hate watching us, Neil. There are so many people. We welcome them because they help get our message out there. But they're even against Girl Scout cookies, which I can't tell you how irritating that is. Dana Conroy, good morning from a frigid New York. You're joining us just towards the end, but this show will be live. I mean, will be recorded and immediately available on most of these channels right away. But Digimentors.group is a great place to go. I was a Girl Scout, says Ellen, and still buy boxes every year, and they have a new one every year. Ooh,
Yes. Explore
Explore
Mores.
Mores. I didn't know that. That's perfectly done. The Thin Mints and Samoas, our favorites since my childhood in Queens, New York. How beautiful is that? And then please get added onto the mailing list and find out what we're all up to, all the things we're going on. I want to tell you that
Amy
the
joined.
Grammys. Oh, sorry.
My
Oh, hey,
sister joined
hey,
from
hey.
Bellevue.
Early in the morning on a Sunday. Thank you for being
Yeah.
here. We want to tell you it's the Grammys tonight. That was the ASAP Rocky who was on the cover of
Yes.
the newspaper's arts and leisure section, and want to remind you that the Grammys are tonight, and you'd probably want to catch it if you wherever you are in the world. There will be live or recordings available, and one of the things that we do is I like to talk a lot about and learn a lot about hip hop, and so I want to give you this URL so you can see it, or it's a QR code for a WhatsApp group um, for anybody interested in discussing hip hop. So please join us. If you can use your QR code to join a WhatsApp group, it's very low volume and some fabulous hip hop experts as well as authors are on there. And we talk about hip hop. And if you'd like to join us, please do that. If you can't get it working with the QR code and everything in such a rush, just message me and I will add you to the group. Sree@digimentors.group. Sree@digimentors.group. Also want to tell you about my uh, weekly newsletter that is something that we would love for you to take a look at. It is called Sree Sunday Note. And my essay this week, U.S. immigration has been broken too long, and the boss goes to Minneapolis, and that's about Bruce Springsteen going there. Sreenet.substack.com, sreenet.substack.com. I address, Neil, something a lot of people say. Well, Obama was worse. He deported more people. Biden deported more people. Yes, but this is where we give you things you can tell the people who are lying to you about Obama and Biden. So that's what the essay here is about. And then we have beautiful picture sent to us from Minneapolis of Bruce live there for after the song that he made called "The Streets of Minneapolis." This is real poetry. And Neil, I quote somebody who says, "I'm not a Bruce Springsteen fan, but holy shit, the man can write lyrics." And that sort of captures Bruce in my mind, that you may not be a fan of everything he does or all his music or even know all his music, but he's an incredible human being who has made his mission to help people in the world. And I wrote that he has been music's most outspoken artist and its liberal conscience for almost 50 years. And this song is a haunting tune, a news report set to poetry is what I called it. So I hope you will take a look. Sreenet.substack.com. We'd love for you to subscribe and share it. Get this out there. We want more people to see it. There's also a LinkedIn version of my newsletter that you can subscribe to, but Substack, sreenet.substack.com or on LinkedIn. Neil, to you.
I'd like, before we close, Sree, I just want to make a quick announcement for the upcoming episode of Shining Light on Shadows, candid conversation about mental health that I co-host and produce twice a month. The next episode is going to be February 12th, the second Thursday of the month. And for Black History Month, which actually starts today, we'll talk more about it in upcoming shows. Episode 43 will focus on Black mental health, trauma, and its impacts across the lifespan. And our guest will be Dr. Michael Kane, clinical traumatologist. He's actually based in Seattle, Washington. And Sree, I'll say that for me, I'm incredibly proud that he's going to be a guest on our show because he was my therapist when I was in Seattle. I saw him for about 10 years. And as you know, before we started the show about 2 years ago this month, in fact, I never shared with anyone that I suffer from anxiety or occasional depression, much less the idea of telling people that I saw a therapist was beyond what I could imagine. It was too much of a stigma. I was too embarrassed to say that. And to now to be hosting my former therapist on the show is a full circle moment. And so I'm really looking forward to that episode. And I'm hoping people will see what I saw in him. He's a great guy. He's very funny, but he's very serious about his work, and he doesn't take crap from anybody. So I'm looking forward to that.
I'm just curious how long HIPAA laws apply. Like he can't, how long does he keep his patient doctor confidentiality? But thank you, Neil, for the show. Thank you for every episode will help thousands of people. So please share the videos, the episodes. Go to Neil's social media. You'll find it there and share it out because we want people to watch. A lot of men don't talk about this, and a lot of South Asian men don't talk about this, Asian men and others, men of color. So Neil's being a vanguard, as he is in so many other things for us, and we are very grateful to him and the team that's been helping you tell these stories, all the folks who've attended. We're almost out of time. Dana says the Olympics opening ceremony is Friday. My God. That's incredible. And the launch of the incredible Artemis, which is the next NASA rocket, is coming up. So you should watch that. And Pradnya says, read Sree Substack and consider the paid subscription. Thank you, Pradnya, to you specifically, as well as everyone else who's supporting so many ways. And Debbie says, not to give away my age, but Girl Scout cookies were 50 cents a box when I sold them, now $5 to $6. I mentioned when I purchased locally, and the girls dismissed the comment saying, well, there's inflation, higher ingredient costs, and shipping costs now. The young girls know what's going on, so they're able to say that and tell everybody. And kudos to Neil for all. And proud of you, Neil, to share your journey. Looking forward to the next episode. Lively show, thank you. I think he's talking about this. That's John Borstein. And bless you, Neil, to your openness. It's so important, helps countless people. If you just joined us, folks, this will be available in full on all the platforms, and you can catch it in a couple of hours, maybe less, on Spotify or in Apple Podcasts if you like that. See you both next week, says Kaveri. Dana says, read The Gene by Siddhartha Mukherjee. I don't know this book. I will look for it. Thank you both, and hugs, Neil, to your openness. And so many great comments. And Ron, we'll leave Ron with the last word. Take care, everyone. See you next week. Thank you very much, everybody. Please sign up for our mailing list at neil@digimentors.group. And you need anything, he can help you as we go forward. So we are always grateful to the production team for putting on these episodes for us. But thank you very much, everybody. Bye-bye.
As a reminder, as soon as we've finished, you can get back to the beginning of the episode, watch the whole thing on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, YouTube, and our Digimentors website. Have a great week. Bye-bye.